Not all quarters are created equal. While most are worth 25 cents, some are worth a small fortune. Welcome to Rare Coins New Mix. Ready to discover which US quarter-dollar coins are the rarest and how much they've sold for. Stick around as we reveal some jaw-dropping values you won't believe. Let's start with the top one. In 1981, the US Mint released a coin that, for many, seemed like just another routine quarter dollar. Little did most people know, this ordinary coin would become a coveted item for collectors and enthusiasts, a symbol of a unique historical moment. The 1981 quarter dollar might appear simple at first glance, but it carries with it a fascinating journey through time, design, and minting that many are unaware of. Let's take a look at this remarkable piece of currency and discover what makes it so special. To understand the 1981 quarter, we need to consider the broader context of the era. The late 1970s and early 1980s were times of change for the United States. After experiencing a decade of economic instability, inflation, and political turbulence, the country was trying to find its footing. The coinage system, while largely functional, was also part of the conversation, as the U.S. Mint explored ways to modernize its designs and make its coins more affordable to produce. By the 1980s, the quarter-dollar coin had been in circulation with the same design for nearly 50 years. The image of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932, still graced the obverse of the coin. Flanagan's portrait of Washington had become a symbol of the nation, representing the founding father whose image had been set in metal for generations. The reverse, however, was still the same eagle design from decades before. While the design had changed little since the coin's introduction, there was something different about the 1981 quarter. In the early 1980s, the United States was dealing with the economic realities of the time, and producing currency was no different. The cost of producing coins had risen significantly, leading to a shift in the composition of U.S. coins. In 1965, the Mint had changed the quarter's composition from silver to a copper-nickel alloy to make production more affordable. This composition, used in the 1981 quarter, consisted of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. Though this blend might seem like a minor detail, it represented a significant change in the approach to coin production, and one that set the stage for the 1981 quarter's future appeal. Despite its widespread circulation, the 1981 quarter started to attract the attention of collectors in the years following its release. Coin collectors, known for their keen eye for detail, began noticing something interesting. Though the quarter's overall design remained consistent, slight variations in its minting process caught the attention of experts. Over time, some of these 1981 quarters began to stand out from the rest, whether due to slight imperfections in the minting process or subtle differences that made them rarer than others. These variations, though initially hard to spot, would later become the driving force behind the coin's desirability. At the time, most people didn't pay much attention to these variations, considering them just normal differences that happened during the mass production of currency. However, as the world of numismatics continued to grow, collectors began to dig deeper into the significance of these seemingly small differences. In particular, there were certain quarters from 1981 that showed slight doubling in the date or other die errors that made them stand out in ways others didn't. These errors were subtle, but to a collector, they were worth searching for. What really sets the 1981 quarter apart is how this relatively small coin ties into the larger landscape of U.S. coinage. The year 1981 was part of a transitional time in American currency. The Mint was exploring ways to bring new life to the designs, while also addressing the financial pressures of minting. Coin collecting itself was becoming more serious as an investment, not just a hobby. More people were beginning to recognize the value in coins that had been overlooked by the public for years. And as these rare coins with small but significant differences were uncovered, they captured the attention of a growing number of collectors. But what's most intriguing about the 1981 quarter is its connection to the collector community. The world of numismatics was starting to attract more dedicated enthusiasts who saw not just the value in rare coins, but also the stories they told. Each coin carries a history, a reflection of the time in which it was made. For many collectors, owning a 1981 quarter isn't just about having a piece of currency. It's about possessing a tangible piece of history. A coin from this era speaks to the economic challenges of the late 20th century, a time when the nation was undergoing a significant transformation. The 1981 quarter is part of that narrative, forever embedded in the fabric of U.S. history. Now, let's fast forward a bit to the present. The world of coin collecting has evolved significantly since the 1980s. What once might have been seen as just another common coin in circulation has, in some cases, become a highly valuable item. The 1981 quarter, particularly those with minting errors or exceptional quality, has grown in significance over the years. It's a testament to the rarity that can be found in the most unexpected of places. You might be wondering, what makes these specific 1981 quarters so valuable? It's a combination of factors. First, there's the rarity of finding a coin with the right minting errors or imperfections. While millions of quarters were produced in 1981, only a small number contain the rare characteristics that make them so desirable to collectors. Then, there's the condition of the coin. Coins that are found in mint or near-mint condition are always more valuable, as their pristine state makes them more attractive to collectors who are after the best quality. It's also important to note that over the years, demand for rare coins has surged. The more people learn about the 1981 quarter and its potential value, the more interest grows. In recent years, certain 1981 quarters have made their way to auctions, selling for impressive sums. And while the vast majority of 1981 quarters are worth only their face value, there are some that have reached astounding prices. Some rare specimens, particularly those in excellent condition or with unique errors, have sold for a staggering $115,000. Imagine that, a quarter, something you might find in your pocket, sitting there with a value far beyond its modest size. It's a perfect example of how the world of numismatics can turn something so ordinary into something extraordinary. So, the next time you come across a 1981 quarter, take a moment to examine it. You never know. You might just be holding on to a piece of history that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Top 2. The 1983 $quarter coin may seem like a standard piece of U.S. currency, but hidden beneath its seemingly simple design is a captivating story of history, change, and rare value. It's easy to overlook a coin like this. After all, it's just another quarter circulating in our pockets, right? But if you take a closer look, you might discover that this particular coin is much more than a piece of everyday currency. The 1983 quarter holds a fascinating history that, over the years, has evolved into a collector's dream, and by the end of the story, you might be surprised by just how much it's worth today. The United States Mint has long been responsible for producing the nation's currency, and by the early 1980s, coin designs had already been in place for decades. The $quarter, for example, had featured George Washington's portrait on the obverse since 1932. This design, created by John Flanagan, had become an iconic representation of the country's first president. Meanwhile, the reverse side of the quarter depicted an eagle, further solidifying its status as a symbol of strength and freedom. By the 1980s, coin production was facing new challenges. The U.S. Mint had already switched from using silver to copper-nickel alloys for most coins by the mid-1960s. This decision was made in response to rising silver prices, and it became a standard composition for U.S. coinage, including the 1983 quarter. The 1983 quarter, made from 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, was part of this ongoing transition toward more affordable and durable coins. While the composition remained consistent, subtle shifts in the minting process during this time would later influence the coin's appeal. In 1983, the U.S. Mint produced billions of quarters, sending them into circulation across the country. For most people, these coins were just a part of everyday life, used to buy a coffee, pay for parking, or save up for a rainy day. At first glance, there was nothing particularly remarkable about these quarters. They were made in huge quantities, and most of them passed through countless hands without ever being given a second thought. But as time went on, a few specific 1983 quarters caught the attention of collectors. The story of the 1983 quarter starts to get interesting when we take a closer look at the coin's production process. During the minting of these quarters, something rare and unexpected happened. A few of the coins produced that year were struck with a double die error. This happens when the die used to stamp the coin is misaligned, causing the design to appear twice, creating a doubling effect. This subtle misalignment was not intended, but it was enough to make certain 1983 quarters stand out from the rest. The error was small, but to a trained eye, it was unmistakable. Double die errors are one of the most highly sought-after types of mistakes in the world of coin collecting. While most people might overlook a slight doubling in the date or letters on a coin, for collectors, these imperfections hold significant value. A coin that is struck twice with slight misalignment is not just a mistake. It's a rare occurrence that adds a layer of history and intrigue to an otherwise ordinary piece of currency. As word spread among collectors, demand for these rare 1983 quarters began to grow. The error coins, which were produced in limited quantities, became a symbol of rarity and uniqueness. A coin that was once seen as just another quarter suddenly became a prize for those in the numismatic community. Over time, the rarity of these coins combined with their historical context to make them highly desirable for collectors who appreciated the story behind their creation. What makes these error coins particularly valuable is not just their rarity, but their condition. Like any collectible, the state of the coin plays a crucial role in determining its value. A coin that has been well preserved, free from scratches or wear, is far more valuable than one that has been heavily circulated. A 1983 quarter with the double die error in mint or near mint condition is much more likely to fetch a high price, as collectors are always on the lookout for the best examples of these rare coins. But it's not just the double die error that makes the 1983 quarter special. There are also coins from this year that have survived the decades in excellent condition, untouched by time and circulation. These coins, even without minting errors, have become valuable due to their pristine appearance. The quality of the 1983 quarter, combined with the story behind its production, has elevated its status from a simple coin to a sought-after collectible. As the years passed, the market for rare coins continued to grow. More and more collectors began to take an interest in the 1983 quarter, and its value began to climb. With the rise of online auctions and specialized dealers, these rare quarters began to appear on the market more frequently, further fueling the demand. Auctions began to feature these error coins, with collectors bidding aggressively to acquire them for their collections. Over time, the price of the 1983 quarter, particularly those with the double die error, reached impressive heights. The allure of the 1983 quarter lies in its rarity, its connection to the past, and the small but significant imperfection that makes it stand out. It's a coin that represents a fleeting moment in history, a brief mistake that turned into something valuable. Coin collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike have all contributed to the rise of the 1983 quarter's value, and it has become a symbol of the unpredictability and excitement that makes the world of numismatics so captivating. So, where does that leave us today? If you happen to find a 1983 quarter in your pocket or coin jar, don't just dismiss it as a common piece of currency. Take a closer look. Is there any hint of the double die error? Is the coin in particularly good condition? While most 1983 quarters are worth only their face value, those rare few that exhibit the error or are in excellent condition can be worth much more. And now, for the big reveal, a 1983 quarter with a double die error can be worth as much as $110,000. Yes, that small, unassuming coin could be worth a staggering sum, depending on its rarity, condition, and specific details. For collectors lucky enough to find one of these rare treasures, the 1983 quarter is not just a piece of currency. It's a symbol of the excitement and thrill of discovering something truly valuable in the most unexpected places. So, the next time you come across a 1983 quarter, take a moment to appreciate its history, and who knows, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. Top 3. In the vast world of U.S. currency, certain coins stand out not just for their design but for the story they tell. The 1985 quarter-dollar coin is one such example. At first glance, it may seem like just another routine coin in the pockets of everyday Americans, but hidden beneath its familiar design is a tale of history, subtle innovation, and a fascinating collector's journey. This quarter, like many others, is often overlooked. However, those who take a closer look, especially within the world of numismatics, might discover that this coin has far more value than its face value suggests. The year 1985, when this quarter was minted, holds significance in its own right. The early 1980s were a time of economic shift and technological change in the United States. The nation was recovering from the tumultuous decade of the 1970s, which was marked by high inflation, the oil crisis, and political upheaval. By the time the 1985 quarter was produced, the country was still dealing with inflationary pressures and economic restructuring. However, one area of American life remained unchanged: the country's currency. For decades, the U.S. Mint had used the same designs on most of its coins. The quarter-dollar coin, which had featured the image of George Washington since 1932, had seen few alterations over the years. George Washington's portrait, crafted by artist John Flanagan, had become synonymous with the quarter, making it one of the most recognizable pieces of currency in the world. In fact, this design had stood the test of time for more than 5 decades by 1985. The reverse side of the coin remained unchanged as well, featuring the eagle, a traditional symbol of American strength and freedom. While these designs had remained consistent for so long, the economic climate and changing times of the 1980s had a subtle influence on coin production. By the time the 1985 quarter was minted, the U.S. Mint had long abandoned silver in favor of a copper-nickel alloy. This shift, which had taken place in 1965, was largely driven by the rising cost of silver. The composition of the 1985 quarter was no different, consisting of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, making it affordable to produce during a time when the nation was focused on reducing the costs of manufacturing coinage. At first glance, there may not seem to be anything extraordinary about the 1985 quarter. After all, it was part of a standard issue of U.S. currency, circulating just like any other coin of the time. However, the real intrigue of the 1985 quarter lies in the subtle changes in the minting process and the potential for rare variations in the coins that were produced that year. As with many coins, slight errors and imperfections in the minting process can have a significant impact on their value, and the 1985 quarter is no exception in the world of numismatics. Even small differences can lead to valuable discoveries. The 1985 quarter is one of those coins that holds appeal because of potential minting errors. The most notable of these is the double die error, a phenomenon that occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, causing a misalignment of the image on the coin. This results in a doubling effect, often visible in the date, lettering, or other elements of the coin's design. While this error might seem small, it's highly desirable to collectors because it marks the coin as a rare and unique example of U.S. currency. What's fascinating about the 1985 quarter is that, like many other coins, the number of these error varieties is quite limited. The double die error, which was found on a relatively small number of 1,985 quarters, immediately attracted attention from collectors and enthusiasts. While most of the 1985 quarters were struck without noticeable errors, a few of them featured this distinct doubling effect, making them incredibly rare. These misprinted coins caught the eye of collectors who were always on the lookout for such anomalies, knowing that they could potentially be worth much more than their face value. Aside from the double die error, there were other subtle variations that made the 1985 quarter stand out. Some coins, for instance, were produced with slightly different characteristics due to minute differences in the dies or the minting process. These differences were often so slight that they went unnoticed by the casual observer, but for collectors with a sharp eye for detail, they presented a fascinating challenge. Over time, these unique specimens were cataloged, analyzed, and increasingly sought after as part of the ever-growing world of coin collecting. Coin collectors, or numismatists, have long been fascinated by the idea of finding rare coins, whether it's through an error in minting or because of the coin's historical significance. The 1985 quarter, despite its seemingly ordinary appearance, became one of those rare coins that collectors hunted for. The interest in these coins grew over time as the appeal of collecting error coins continued to rise. Collectors began to seek out the 1985 quarter for its uniqueness, particularly those with visible errors or features that set them apart from the standard issue. What's particularly interesting about this coin, though, is that it wasn't just collectors of rare error coins who became interested in it. The 1985 quarter also attracted attention from those who saw it as a valuable addition to a larger collection of U.S. coinage. This appeal was due in part to the quarter's place in American history. While the design had remained unchanged for decades, the 1985 quarter symbolized a period of transition for the country, a moment when the country was shifting into a new economic era and embracing technological advancements. As interest in these rare 1985 quarters grew, so did their value. The coins with minting errors became highly sought after at auctions, with collectors willing to pay premium prices to own a specimen. The market for rare and error-struck coins continued to expand, and soon, the 1985 quarter became a symbol of the excitement and thrill of discovering a hidden treasure. Auction houses, coin dealers, and collectors alike began to recognize the potential value of these rare coins, and as demand grew, the price of the 1985 quarter steadily climbed. The rarity of the 1985 quarter, especially those with double die errors or unique features, has made it an enduring favorite among collectors. It's a coin that tells a story of the times in which it was produced, reflecting both the economic climate of the 1980s and the evolving nature of U.S. currency. The quarter's history is intertwined with the history of the country itself, and that connection has only served to increase its allure over the years. For those who may still have one of these quarters tucked away in their coin jars or collections, the 1985 quarter represents more than just a piece of currency. It's a piece of history, a glimpse into a specific moment in time, and a reminder of the unpredictable nature of the coin collecting world. When you consider the rarity of the error varieties, the historical significance, and the high demand among collectors, it's easy to see why the 1985 quarter has become a coveted item. So, what is the current value of a 1985 quarter? While most of these coins are still worth only their face value of 25 cents, those rare few with errors or exceptional qualities have become incredibly valuable over the years. The price of a 1985 quarter with a double die error or other unique features can reach impressive figures at auctions or private sales. As of today, some of these coins have been known to sell for as much as $98,000. Top 4. The 1993 USA $quarter coin, at first glance, may seem like just another piece of U.S. currency, a regular coin you might find in your pocket or loose change. However, the story behind this coin is anything but ordinary. What starts as a seemingly simple coin with an established design becomes a story of subtle history, rare characteristics, and remarkable value. The 1993 quarter is an excellent example of how small details, unnoticed by many, can elevate an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. To truly appreciate the significance of the 1993 quarter, we must first examine the context in which it was minted. The early 1990s were a period of economic recovery for the United States. The 1980s had seen substantial growth in the nation's economy, but by 1993, there was a shift in the political and economic climate. The country was adjusting to a new presidential administration under Bill Clinton and moving away from the economic policies that had dominated the previous decade. During this time, the U.S. Mint was working to meet the demand for coins in circulation, producing billions of quarters for use in everyday transactions. The design of the quarter dollar had remained relatively unchanged for decades. Since 1932, the coin had featured the portrait of George Washington, the nation's first president. Designed by John Flanagan, the image of Washington had become synonymous with American currency. On the reverse side, the eagle had been a long-standing symbol of strength and freedom, continuing the theme of American values. By the time the 1993 quarter was minted, Washington's image was a fixture in the public's consciousness, as familiar as the coin itself. In terms of composition, the 1993 quarter continued the trend that had started in 1965 when silver was removed from most U.S. coinage. Quarters were now composed of a copper-nickel alloy, 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. This alloy was designed to reduce production costs and ensure durability, allowing the coins to withstand years of circulation without significant wear. The transition to copper-nickel had also made the quarter more affordable to produce, an important consideration for the mint as demand for coins increased at the outset. The 1993 quarter dollar may have appeared like just another regular coin. It wasn't until later that collectors would begin to pay close attention to the 1993 quarter, largely due to the subtle imperfections that could occur during its minting. Like any mass-produced coin, slight errors could occur during the manufacturing process. These errors, which may appear as small discrepancies in the design, are often what set one coin apart from the rest. For collectors, these anomalies are often seen as rare treasures, and the 1993 quarter proved to be no exception. Perhaps one of the most notable features of the 1993 quarter is its relatively low circulation number in comparison to other years. Though the U.S. Mint had to produce billions of coins to meet public demand, there was a smaller percentage of 1993 quarters that stood out for their rarity. Errors in minting, particularly those that produced unique variations or flaws, quickly became a point of interest among coin collectors. One of the most sought-after versions of the 1993 quarter is the error variety, which is a result of slight imperfections during the coin's production. These can include things like doubling in the inscriptions, slight misalignments in the design, or over-polished dies that leave the coin looking unusual. While these kinds of errors might be unnoticeable to the casual observer, they become a major focal point for numismatists and collectors looking to find rare and valuable coins. Another element that added to the appeal of the 1993 quarter was its role in the larger context of U.S. coinage. The 1993 quarter was part of a generation of coins that marked the end of an era in U.S. currency. As the 1990s progressed, changes to the designs of American coinage would eventually begin to take shape, including the introduction of the 50-state quarters program, which began in 1999. The 1993 quarter, therefore, stands as a link between two significant periods in the history of U.S. coins: the end of the traditional quarter design and the beginning of a new era of state-themed quarters. Despite its relatively ordinary appearance, the 1993 quarter began to capture the attention of collectors who were particularly interested in error coins or coins in exceptional condition. For these collectors, the 1993 quarter represented a rare opportunity to own a piece of currency that had a unique history. The fact that some 1993 quarters had slight imperfections or rare variations meant that they stood out among the millions of ordinary quarters produced that year. These coins became the subject of intense interest, as collectors sought them out in coin shops, online auctions, and even in pocket change. Over time, the rarity and demand for these era coins began to drive up the price of the 1993 quarter. As more people became aware of the potential value of these coins, the market for them grew. Collectors who had once dismissed the 1993 quarter as just another regular coin began to recognize that certain varieties could fetch impressive prices at auction. The coin became a symbol of the broader world of numismatics, a world in which even a small error or variation could turn an ordinary coin into a highly valuable artifact. The rarity of the 1993 quarter, particularly those with noticeable minting errors, has made it increasingly desirable. Coins that feature doubling or slight misalignments are especially coveted. With each passing year, the number of these rare error coins in circulation diminishes, further driving up their value. As fewer of these unique coins are available to collectors, their price continues to rise. Collectors' interest in the 1993 quarter reflects a broader trend in numismatics: the search for rare, historical, and error-struck coins. Coin collecting is not just about amassing large quantities of coins, it's about uncovering treasures that tell a story and provide insight into the history of U.S. currency. The 1993 quarter is an excellent example of how seemingly minor differences in the minting process can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary find. It serves as a reminder that the world of coin collecting is often filled with hidden gems, just waiting to be discovered. So, what is the current value of the 1993 quarter? It's important to note that most 1993 quarters, like those from any year, are still worth their face value of 25 cents. However, due to the increasing demand for rare and error-struck coins, the value of the 1993 quarter has risen significantly for those that feature notable minting defects or are in exceptional condition. Depending on the rarity of the error and the coin's overall condition, the value of a 1993 quarter can reach remarkable figures. As of today, certain 1993 quarters have been known to sell for as much as $77,000. Top 5. The 2019 USA State Quarter, featuring the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park, is a coin that beautifully represents the rich history and culture of the United States. At first glance, it may seem like just another coin in the long-running State Quarter series, which has been a favorite among collectors since its inception in 1999. However, the San Antonio Missions Quarter is far from ordinary. It tells a story of one of the most important historical sites in Texas, and it embodies the spirit of preservation, heritage, and American pride. In 2019, the U.S. Mint released the San Antonio Missions Quarter as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. This program, which began in 2010, focuses on national parks and other significant sites across the United States, with each coin representing a different location. The San Antonio Missions Quarter is one of 5 quarters released in 2019, each highlighting an important national park or historical landmark. The San Antonio Missions National Historical Park is located in San Antonio, Texas, and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The park preserves the historic Spanish colonial missions that were established in the 18th century. These missions were critical to the spread of Christianity and European influence in the region, and they played a significant role in shaping the history of Texas and the American Southwest. The San Antonio Missions Quarter commemorates these missions and the cultural significance they hold. The coin's design captures the essence of the missions, featuring an image of the Mission San Jose, one of the most famous and well-preserved missions in the park. The design shows the mission's iconic church with a beautiful, intricate stone facade, surrounded by the lush, green landscape of San Antonio. It's a fitting tribute to the beauty and historical importance of the missions, and it reflects the pride and reverence that the American people feel for their nation's past. The 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter was designed by artist Barbara Fox and was struck by the U.S. Mint at its facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. As with all coins in the America the Beautiful Quarters program, the San Antonio Missions Quarter features a design on the reverse side that highlights the park or landmark being commemorated, while the obverse side maintains the traditional image of George Washington, as required by law for all U.S. quarters. The design of the San Antonio Missions Quarter is particularly noteworthy for its attention to detail. The Mission San Jose is depicted in all its splendor, with the intricate stonework and the arched windows that are signature features of the mission's architecture. The lush greenery around the mission adds depth to the coin, symbolizing the fertile land that supported the missions and their inhabitants. The use of light and shadow on the coin's design helps to create a sense of realism, bringing the mission to life on such a small canvas. Minting these coins was no simple task. As with all U.S. currency, the production of the San Antonio Missions Quarter involved a highly controlled and precise process. The U.S. Mint uses state-of-the-art technology to ensure that each coin is struck with accuracy and consistency. The coins were produced in large quantities, with millions of quarters minted to be distributed across the country. While these coins are primarily intended for circulation, a portion of them is set aside for collectors who are eager to add them to their collections in addition to the regular circulating quarters. The U.S. Mint also released a limited number of proof and uncirculated versions of the San Antonio Missions Quarter. These versions, produced with special care and higher quality finishes, are intended for collectors who appreciate the artistry and craftsmanship of coin production. The proof versions are especially sought after, as they feature a mirrored surface and frosted designs that give the coin a striking appearance. For collectors, the appeal of the 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter goes beyond its beautiful design and historical significance. As part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, this coin is part of a limited-run series that will eventually come to an end. With only a few years left in the program, collectors are eager to complete their sets of these quarters, which makes each new release more valuable. Additionally, the limited number of proof and uncirculated versions of the San Antonio Missions Quarter adds to its desirability, as these versions are far fewer in circulation than the regular coins. The value of the 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter, like most coins, is influenced by its rarity, condition, and the demand from collectors. Most of these coins are still in circulation and are worth their face value of 25 cents. However, the proof and uncirculated versions can command a premium price, especially if they are in excellent condition or are part of a limited edition set. The higher quality versions of the coin are often sold in specialized coin shops, online auctions, and directly from the U.S. Mint, and they can fetch several times their face value as with all coins in the America the Beautiful Quarters program. The 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter is a collector's item that holds sentimental and historical value. Many people collect these coins not just for their potential financial value but also for the personal connection they feel to the places represented on the coins. The San Antonio Missions Quarter is particularly meaningful to those who live in Texas or who have a deep appreciation for the state's rich history and cultural heritage. The missions are a symbol of Texas' past, and for many, this quarter is a way to honor that legacy as the years pass. The value of the 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter will likely increase, especially for collectors who focus on coins with unique or rare features. Coins that are well preserved, free from damage, and stored in protective cases are especially valuable. The coins produced for circulation, while still valuable, are generally worth only slightly more than their face value. However, the special edition proof and uncirculated versions of the quarter have the potential to become even more valuable over time. Now for the big reveal. As of today, a 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter, particularly a proof or uncirculated version in excellent condition, can fetch as much as $16,000. This impressive value reflects not only the rarity of the coin but also the growing interest among collectors in the America the Beautiful Quarters program. While not every 2019 San Antonio Missions Quarter will be worth such an incredible sum, Those that have been carefully preserved or that feature special errors or unique characteristics can command impressive prices in the right market.